All right, guys, got another one of these videos here for you, man. And before we jump into it, I'm going to remind you to subscribe, cut on your notification, and hit that like button. So let's take a deep look at this, man. This is a preseason game with some updated rosters, courtesy of the community share, what have you. Got Dwayne Haskins there as the Steelers quarterback. This is just a preseason game, man. Just playing around, having some fun with it. For my Steelers Nation family out there, and stay tuned for that, by the way. We're gonna try to have some fun the best we can with this game. But let's take a look at what's going on here, guys. The first thing I do is I start in the trenches, and I just want to make a comment here. Listen, it's not so bad what's actually happening. What's bad, in my opinion, is basically how the trenches work. It's more so win or lose, no real struggle, no real fight. I don't see a lot of weight and momentum and leverage and things of that nature being taken into account. If you take a look at Marquise Pouncey, is once this guy, gets past him, then that's just it. Pouncey now goes into a state of having no idea what's happening. On the left tackle side there, I do like that the tackle is following him all the way to the quarterback, at least showing some sense of, I gotta protect. But I think what needs to happen here, if you pay attention to games that, we've all coined as some of the best, those were predetermined situations as well in terms of the line play, but it was just the way it was replicated. I'll get back to that in a second. One of the negative spots that I noticed for sure here, look at this corner. Why does he take this path? And this is what I'm talking about, guys, when I say what's under the hood. The things that I always look at in a sports game, particularly Madden, I want to see how players interact and how the AI is represented. Okay, I don't spend my time with the bugs and, just because there's a bug in the game, I go into, it's trash mode. I don't do any of that. I want to understand why this stuff is happening. That clearly right there is just not good AI. It's not a good path to the quarterback. So how can they address that? That's something that needs to be addressed. But again, getting back to the line play, it's going to have to be a combination, man, of weight and momentum and those things that I want, as well as having enough animations, to properly replicate what we want to see. Make us believe that there's a struggle there in the trenches. And I know it's not an easy thing to do. Like I said, you take a game like All Pro Football 2K8, which I think had the best looking pocket and trench play in general. But again, it was predetermined. It was pre-scripted, just like most of these games. But they had enough animations to make you at least believe the situation. And I think by now, the way the technology is, we should be able to marry those things. You should have enough animations to properly replicate what's happening, as well as allow animations to be augmented, based off of, interaction and collision and things of that nature. Speaking of which, as you take a look at the man coverage here, not so bad as far as the way it's playing out, but you see it's the same static, contextual awareness. It's the same reaction. It's that arm bar, if you will. There's no real hand fighting. There's no, by now we should be able to get more of that. When the players collide and interact, let's see them, really jockeying and fighting for position. You see this happen, in FIFA, and I know it's not always fair to compare games 1-to-1, but again, if you can do that with players, why couldn't we do that with DB and wideout interaction? You understand what I'm saying? It should be more of that. Again, if you have to produce thousands upon thousands of animation to produce that, I'm fine with that. That's where 2K basically, in my opinion, definitely has the edge over Madden just in that area. Look at this right here, the two-man animation. And I always got to give credit to NBA 2K, because ever since 2K19, they've started to go into trying to eliminate the best they can two-man animations. It's still there. But what they do well is they marry, the control with fluidity in their two-man animation. Not saying that you always have control out of it, but sometimes it's hard to really identify when their two-man animation kicks in. With Madden, it's very easy to identify. There it is right there, right? And I know what the goal was right here. is to go for, the visual effect, which I get it. And the way this plays out is kind of cool. If you see it in real time, you're like, oh. But when you go back and look at replay the way I do, this situation right here is any control at this point is dead in the water. And they got to find a way, man, to at least allow you to branch out of that. Some kind of way. You have to be able to not lose control when you go into these situations. They have to find a way to marry those two. You can have your animations, but you got to allow some user control as well. And that's all I got. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, cut on your notifications. Catch you in the next one. Peace.